Karen Faulkner, and I'm a board member with Village Court. And I'm so pleased that we have with us today Debra Valentina, a book development coach and international best-selling author. Debra, could you tell me a little bit about your professional background?
Sure, I'd love to talk about that. It's a long one, but I won't go through all of it. I'll just highlight some things. So I am trained as a healthcare executive, actually from UC Berkeley and Stanford. And in my early career, I worked for managed care organizations and managed healthcare organizations as both COO and CEO. But then pretty early on, when I decided I was more of an entrepreneur than a corporate type, I left the corporate healthcare world and became a healthcare operations consultant and an executive coach for uh, female healthcare executives. Over the years, however, my entrepreneurial career has morphed into being a life coach and a book development coach that you mentioned. And I am an author and also a personal development play shop. I call them play shops instead of workshops, facilitator. So that's it in a nutshell, with lots of details in between, which we don't have to talk about.
Well, I hope to hear about some of the details. That sounds like a really exciting trajectory. I'm wondering, when did you start writing? When were you first published?
Yes, so I started writing at a very early age. I was on it in about the third grade, and then I was published in the seventh grade, which was very, very exciting to have that to be published in middle school. So, um, yeah, so that's the answer to that.
That is exciting. You were quite precocious. And what's your genre?
Yeah, so during my corporate career, as I just briefly talked about, I wrote many professional articles on healthcare, managed care, and mental health. But now I write personal development books, which goes along with my career as a life coach. Um, so an example is my first book was Heart Ignited, Living a Fully Expressed Life. And it's just like its title said, it was all my hot tips on living a fully expressed life, and including exercises at the end of each chapter. And then more recently, I've written my memoir entitled Beyond Chaos, Journey to Freedom and Joy.
Oh, I'd love to hear more about the memoir. So, what prompted you to write it? That's exciting.
Well, it's interesting. I always knew, speaking of precocious, I always knew that I was going to write my memoir. But I wrote it a couple of years ago, and waited until then, because I wanted to essentially be fully healed and over the trauma, so
Hmm.
that my book could be more inspiring for people to go from oh, this was not such a happy childhood, but look at her now, she's happy and thriving. So I wanted it to be inspirational and not a downer, essentially.
That makes sense. So, it sounds like it has a positive arc. So, where
uh,
can we buy your books?
yes. You can find them on Amazon.com. And I wanted to say just a little bit more about the memoir, because
Please.
I'd like to kind of share this with folks.
Hmm.
Um, is that I thought I was going to write the book in chronological order, but that's not the way it flowed through. It actually flowed through with more theme-based chapters. So just a little teaser, some of the chapter titles Young Leadership, and then Sex, Money, and Men, and Big Loves. So it was just interesting how, like I said, what flowed through is like uh, um, themes and learnings. And then speaking of learnings, what I decided to do at the end of the book is to write contemplative questions so that those who are reading the book can do some inner work themselves. I'm all about the inner work. So
Nice.
some of the questions, as examples: do you consider yourself to be a resilient person? And when have you taken a leap of faith, and how did that turn out? So it gets people really thinking about their own lives. So it's a little bit different in your traditional memoir. So I just wanted to mention those things.
It sounds really novel, really interesting. Do you offer some ideas for becoming more resilient, depending on how the person answers the question? Or I should say in the
What?
book?
Well, that's it. I do by telling my story. Like
Mm-hmm.
I tell how I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's essentially showing, not telling. Um,
Right. Right.
and so that happens throughout the book. Yeah.
I'm interested in the process as well. How did you learn to write a memoir?
Um, well, that's a very interesting question. So um, I am highly intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of my books, I've written four, I'm on my fifth book,
Oh,
have
wow.
have come through um, by just listening to what I call my knowingness. Sometimes you can call it your intuition, your intuitive guidance. So literally my memoir, when I was ready, like I said, I wanted to be at a certain um, level of healing.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down and the first draft, not everyone does this, I know, but my first draft, full draft, was written in a day and a half. Um,
Oh,
so
wow.
I couldn't, it's like I started the flow.
Uh-huh.
And then what was interesting is I started handwriting it, which is what I like to do because it's more tactile for
Oh
me.
my goodness.
But it was flowing so quickly, I had to switch to my laptop so I could keep up with the flow that was coming through. Um, so that's one part of the other answer. The other part of the answer is um, when I was living on Kauai, a I was working with two people who were Hollywood actors, who essentially taught the basics of writing memoirs, and that turned into three one woman shows, short, but so my memoir became
Oh my God.
essentially acting in front of people. So um, uh, but I got the basics from them, and it is what I include in my memoir play shop. A life review, structure of a memoir, and character development are just examples of what are some of the basics. Yeah.
Wow, that's really brave to do a one-woman show. I would love to hear more about that at some point, but I'm not sure we have time today. But also in terms of the book, did you said you wrote it in a day and a half, or the draft at least, which is phenomenal.
Right.
How long did the editing process take you?
The editing process, not very long either. So I I edit books as well. I do mostly now book development coaching versus the actual copy editing.
Hmm.
But I copy edited it myself. And then I actually had a publisher before before it was written, actually. And so um, uh, then she got a hold of it, and so edited it and published it. Yeah.
So it sounds like you really had your ducks in a row. Um, were they helping you with the marketing then?
The At the beginning, yes, that's always a very tricky question in terms of marketing. Um, uh, Unless you're, this is my experience, unless you're, famous like Michelle Obama
Mhm.
and the like, and have a big publisher who will do the marketing. And it's really not a lot of marketing because the platform's already there. All to say, yes, there was help with marketing at the beginning, and to continue to sell the book, um, I have to keep marketing it. And so I can tell from the sales of the book when I'm marketing and when I'm not marketing.
Oh, nice. So for those who would like to hear more, and I include myself among that, do you have any upcoming events that you'd like to share?
Yes, actually, I'm very excited. I'm offering an online 6-week memoir play shop that's going to be on Tuesday evenings from 5:30 to 7:30 Pacific time, starting Tuesday, December 5th, and it goes through um, uh, 2024, January 23rd, 2024. I can't believe I'm saying 2024, but yes, I am. And then
Mhm.
there'll be a 2-week break for the holidays, December 26th and January 2nd. And I just want to mention, you don't have to be a writer to attend. We all have a story that is worth telling, every single one of us. That's my belief anyway. And I'm very excited because I have a process that is gentle and empowering, that will allow people to just let it flow like I did. Maybe not in a day and a half, but
I don't think
but
most of us could do that, but that's exciting.
will will allow it to flow.
Okay.
And so you can, there's 2 places you can find the information on it. Uh, the details can be found on the event page, villagecore.org. Again, villagecore.org on the events page. And then my website is creativing.info, creativing.info, and then /book writing. And you can just go on creativing.info, and then at the top will be book writing. You can just click into that if that's easier.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for talking with us today, Deborah, and I look forward to seeing you in December.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, and very, very excited about the memoir play shop, because the other thing that I do is I guarantee fun. So it's a very fun and engaging process.
I'll definitely check it out. There's very few things in my life that guarantee fun, so I will be there. Thank you again.
You're welcome.